Hi.
No. Hey.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm Gina,
I'm Ro.
and we are the conversation leads. So this week we're going to be doing a little bit of vocabulary and then a little bit of general discussion.
Yeah. Sorry, so we'll be discussing society and the news.
Yeah, should be fun. So shall we get started? Ro, do you want to start with the vocab?
So the first word that we're going to go through is society. So what does society mean, Gina?
I would say a group of people that live together in a community.
Mm-hmm. Shall I ask you the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, I forgot. Culture. Okay, what is culture, Ro?
So culture is the ideas, customs, and social behaviour of a group of people who are living together in a society. So a community of people. So what was a good example of culture, Gina, that you think?
Culture. So the way people dress codes, maybe food.
Yeah, exactly. Or even languages, music. Yeah, it's like all aspects of life that a group of people share. So, Gina, what is individualism?
Individualism. Basically, individualism means thinking more about yourself rather than others. So not taking into consideration how your actions will affect other people in the group, just thinking about you.
Yeah. So, in terms of society, that's like a society of people that act more individualistic, I think, on the whole. So, what does collectivism mean?
Collectivism. So it's the complete opposite of individualism. It means that as an individual, you're thinking about the group before making an action. So you're thinking, will this benefit everyone in the group or will it just benefit myself?
Yeah. So it's prioritizing everyone else. Well, not everyone else, but like everyone equally.
Yeah. I think you gave a good example of individualism about the stockpiling. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we discussed it in the last few weeks that UK is quite an individualistic culture, and so they do stuff like stockpiling toilet roll and not leaving any toilet roll for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit annoying.
All right, Ro.
Yeah.
How would you define a societal threat?
So a societal threat is like when there is danger caused to society, or there's something that can harm all the people in society, or all all the animals in society. So a societal threat could be climate change or the pandemic that's going on at the minute, because obviously it's just causing a lot of harm to the whole of society. Or I'm trying to think of another example. Do you have any other examples of societal threats?
It could be things like drug dealers. They could
Yeah,
be a threat to society because they harm people.
yeah, crime is a good one. So, what does sustainability mean?
Sustainability, I think it's taking care of the environment and making conscious choices like not using lots of plastic, recycling, reducing waste.
Yeah, so look, all natural resources, stopping the depletion and using the depletion of natural resources. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
to maintain an ecological environmental balance is the
Right.
definition online. Yeah,
Shall we keep going with the questions?
yeah, that sounds good to me.
Perfect. So, Ro, if you could start a country from scratch, what would it be like?
Ooh, I think everyone would be like um more equal, because obviously in our society we have like a huge difference between the rich. It's something like the 1% of people own everything and have all the money, and then it's just really unequal, our society. So I would make a more equal society. and therefore things like hopefully people will be happier and be able to just live a decent life. What about you, Gina?
I think I definitely agree with you. We don't need billionaires. We definitely don't. I think I would make sure that everyone had access to education and that it would be good quality education. I'll do that by making sure that teachers have a good pay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think like giving the key workers that we're talking about at the moment like a decent pay and a pay that's fair for all that like amazing work that they do would be important because currently they're not paid like that
No.
much.
And
Um,
it's definitely not easy to be a teacher because they don't just work during the day. They also have to take their work home with them and do lots of corrections
and they help raise children, don't they? Like
Mhm.
they're kind of with kids at school just as much as they are at home normally. So they should be given fair pay. So, Gina, how should we measure the productivity of a society?
productivity. Oh, that's a tricky one because some people would say we could measure how well things are going by looking at everyone's individual happiness.
Mm-hmm.
That could be one way. I don't think. Mm, I do think it is a good. It's a good idea to think about productivity in terms of happiness and how we feel, but there's probably other ways you could measure it as well.
Mm,
What do you think?
I can't think of other ways, but I do know that some countries are bringing in measuring their like growth through happiness rather than like money.
Yes.
And I think like I can see it working, but I think it probably just have to be a balance, wouldn't it, between between money and happiness. Because currently the UK and all these countries are measuring through GDP, so
Mm-hmm.
that's like money, whereas they could, they don't even take into account happiness levels.
No, they don't. And it's a shame because GDP levels they can change. They can go up, they can go down. You never know.
You could have like high GDP levels and low happiness levels, which would be
Hmm.
very scary.
Absolutely. And I think there's lots of countries that are like that. People work very, very long hours. They don't have that much time to spend with their families or for hobbies and such.
I think people are forced to like prioritize work.
Hmm.
And I feel like when people are pressured to do work all the time, they do it. But as soon as they have a bit of time off, they might start to adjust what they prioritize. So they like,
Hmm.
you know, there's a lot of arguments for going down to a 4 day working week rather than a 5 day working week in order to prioritize a bit more happiness over money.
Hmm.
Good idea.
Absolutely. Great. So, Ro, what do you think is the biggest threat to society?
Well, I think at the moment the biggest threat is the pandemic. Is that
Hmm.
coronavirus because it's like the biggest immediate threat right now. That's why we're all having to take such big precautions and measures to stop the threat from growing.
Hmm.
But then there's a lot of other threats that are ongoing, like climate change. I'd say that's another really large threat. What do you think, Gina?
Yeah, I think definitely the COVID-19 virus is a massive, massive threat. But I also think that we are threats to ourselves as well
Mm.
because of how selfish the
Oh yeah.
pandemic made us.
Mm-hmm.
And people just aren't thinking of other people. Like, for example, if you go to a supermarket, people do brush up against you. It's like,
Yeah, I know. There's people coughing sometimes, like on purpose. It's just, I think it's brought
yeah,
I think it's made me personally realize that a lot of people are selfish.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think our selfishness is a huge threat to society.
Yeah, it's something that needs to change for sure. still see me, Gina?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Hello. Sorry, it just went off for a minute. So could societies, this is similar to the other question, but could societies exist without money? So without transferring money?
Oh, that's difficult. I think I'd like to imagine that it could exist without transferring money, that people would just give people things out of the goodness of their heart. But I could imagine people taking advantage of this system.
I agree. I completely agree. I think like it's a nice idea, but I think if you didn't have money, you'd end up with another system that would just be as stressful as money. I think people always seem to have the need to have things, like, you know, have things to show their wealth. Yeah, maybe it's needed. I don't know. Yeah, that's a difficult question.
Yeah, it is. I can sort of imagine maybe a favor system going into it. Like, you give me this, I'll do you a favor in the future.
That's nice. Yeah, that would be like such a nice way of living. And maybe like, I don't know how like even just shopping would work. Would you have to, the selfishness that we were talking about would have to completely stop, because then like if you went to the shops, you just have to take exactly what you needed rather than buying it, you know? So you'd have to leave everybody else rather than just like grabbing everything and stealing everything away. There'd have to be limits then.
Absolutely. So, what would happen if maximum income was implemented?
So what is a maximum income? Just to define it.
Basically, it means that we would set a limit to how much people can earn through work. So, for example, we could say you can only earn £500,000 per year, something like that.
I think so. Is it like stopping the limit of your earning, basically?
Yes.
Oh wow! I think people would learn to live within their means.
Mm-hmm.
Stop being maybe like everyone would stop being so kind of like consumer obsessed. So people would stop buying like stuff that isn't necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But also it'd probably be quite a large of money that was cut off at. So you'd probably still have a lot of money, and therefore it would just like balance the wealth between rich and poor more, because it would stop people having like this many billions, and it would share the wealth through society more.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree with you. They should cap it because it's kind of ridiculous to have billionaires and very, very rich people, and then people who are starving and don't have access to water or food or shelter.
Yeah, needs a big societal change. I do
Absolutely.
feel I feel like, you know, it's okay to want to earn money and have like a lot of money, but I think billions, like, are they ever even going to be able to use all of that?
Nope.
It just seems crazy. And so I feel like if people did earn over the maximum, like over, I don't know how many billions, but if they earned over it, they could have to give that money away to like charity or something.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a good way of doing it.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
It should happen, because I think it's like a very large amount of people that do earn billions of pounds, and they have all the wealth, which is crazy.
Yeah. And they're just using it to buy clothes or cars
Mm-hmm.
when they could be using it for something that's a little bit more
Yeah,
beneficial to society.
yeah, or it just like sits in a bank account.
Mm.
So, what do you think the long-term effects of so many people being glued to their screens will be?
Oh gosh, it's screens are really addictive. They really are.
Uh,
It's so hard to get away from screens.
mhm.
I think it probably has an impact on your concentration.
Yeah,
Like if you were trying to have a conversation with someone, you'd probably be a little bit in a different world,
yeah,
not focus on what they're saying. And I think, although you can learn a lot of different things being on a screen, it's just, it's not the same as going out there and playing sports or talking to people or reading a book.
yeah. I
Mhm.
think it will change people's communication skills or communication styles because people won't be talking to each other as much. They'll just be staring at their screens.
Absolutely. And you see it when you go out to restaurants or to a cafe, you'll see these couples and they'll all be on their screens. They won't be
Yeah,
talking to each other, and it's
yeah.
sad.
But it is hard to stop yourself just going on your phone,
Hmm.
especially like during this time in lockdown. It's very easy to just pick up your phone and
Yeah,
hard to be productive when you're doing that.
that's what I've been doing.
Very distracting. Just very easy to pick up your phone. I'm gonna miss the next question because we kind of talked about this last week. It was about individualism and collectivism. So I'm gonna ask instead. I'm gonna miss the one after that because it's about social media. So the one after that is: can a society exist without laws?
Hmm, without laws. I don't think so. Because I think we need a little bit of guidance on how to behave.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, I think to some extent it is intrinsic to human beings to not to want to hurt each other. But I still think it needs to be regulated a little bit.
100%.
Oh gosh.
Without laws, bless you.
Sorry.
Hope you okay. Um, I know I just had a big cough too. Maybe without laws, people would go on like a bit more free and not want to kind of do things that break the law because there wouldn't be need to. I don't know. Maybe people would just respect each other more because they didn't feel like they were being stopped by the law. You know, like
Oh, I
people
see what you
get
mean.
to break the law.
That's like the argument that people have made about religion. Like they're thinking that if there wasn't religion telling people to behave a certain way, like don't steal, don't kill each other, don't do this, don't do that, would people still be moral?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's hard to think, isn't it? If
Yeah.
they, no, I think they would. I feel like there's an innate nature to people that they don't want to do bad things. So maybe without laws, those things would just become like things that are done. It's just like the norm rather than a law. Yeah, but that would be a bit idealistic too.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you think the purpose of art in society is?
Art. Mm, I think it's self-expression. You can
Mm,
use art to express a lot of different feelings like grief or happiness or love, and people respond really well to it.
mhm,
Like there's this there's this composer called Tchaikovsky who composes ballets, and when his sister died, he composed this piece of music in her honor that made its way into the Nutcracker, and it's
The,
so beautiful,
the
so
nutcracker
beautiful to hear.
is, yeah,
And
so
you can sort of hear the sadness that he felt when his
mhm.
sister died in the music.
I feel like classical music is like has so much emotion in it. All the, like, yeah, you can really feel the emotion of the artwork. But I also think for art in society, like art is in like everything, like adverts, films, TV, like our phones, all the fashion, everything we that is around us is artwork. So without that stuff, I think like life would be very dull, boring without art.
Exactly.
So the final question.
Do you think the approach to sustainability and environmental issues will change for human society after this pandemic? Oh, it's a tricky one.
Because I know that like environmental issues have got a lot better. So the issues have decreased during the pandemic. Like I've seen like the air pollution has got way lower because of people stopping driving and flying and all these polluting activities. And like in some places, like I think it's Venice, all the animals have come back. There's like wild boars and like swans in the lake and fish in the rivers, and there's dolphins and in cities, and it's just amazing. Like in the sea by cities, which has never been seen before. And this is only from just a couple of weeks of like humans taking a step back. So I think the environmental like the environmental issues have got a lot better, have decreased, and sustainability has increased. But I'm not sure how long that will be sustained after this pandemic. I don't know if we're obviously gonna not be like this forever, but I don't know if we'll go back to the same level of environmental damage we were causing. It's hard to know how we'll return after this.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
I've basically said nothing to
But
answer the question. Yeah.
but it really goes to show you how much of an impact we're having on the earth.
Yeah, it's scary. It's
We're
crazy.
killing it.
We have to stop. I mean, I feel like because people are aware of this going on, I hope people think now when we go back, oh, maybe I could walk to school rather than drive. You know, I hope like it changes the way that people view nature too.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that it will make people a bit more aware of sustainability and environmental issues. But the
100%.
problem is the media isn't doing enough to highlight it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're just focusing more on fear mongering and scaring people into thinking we're all going to die and we're all going to get COVID-19 when they could take this scenario and try to show it in a more positive light.
100%, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is like it's so amazing that nature is like rebalancing already
Mm-hmm.
the natural world. It's amazing.
It is.
I do think like it's such a horrible situation, but I do hope that people take good things from it, like being more environmentally friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because we have to keep pushing, keep being resilient.
yeah, we do. Switching off the lights, we have to do it. So I think that's the first section of society complete, um, and we'll go into news and the media, which links to the last question on the next part. Thanks, guys.
Perfect.
I don't know.
Shall we keep going?
Yeah, or should we pause it and then?
Yeah, we should do. I'll just stop recording. I'll do it from this side.